Business viewers, derivatives are financial contracts that derive their value from an underlying asset. This could be stocks, indices, commodities, currencies, exchange rates, or the rate of interest. These financial instruments help us make profits by betting on the future value of the underlying asset. Derivatives are generally used as an instrument to hedge risk, but can also be used for speculative purposes. This is MNC Business, and you are on IBA's Investment Talks with ICDX. The derivatives market basically reallocates risk from the people who prefer risk aversion to the people who have an appetite for risk. Derivatives have come under scrutiny in recent times owing to the use of hedging instruments by companies for financial mismanagement. The misuse of derivatives has put many companies in the legal line of fire. The popular notion that derivatives caused the downfall of companies like, let's say, Enron is, however, not true. The derivatives by themselves are not damaging. It is their misuse that can cause trouble for businesses and your investment. How to find a safe strategy in derivatives market investment? ICDX is here tonight to share their insight and strategy. But before that, we have the report for you about investing in derivatives.
A derivative is an advanced form of trading. Investors have historically purchased these short-term contracts, which are collateralized by underlying assets such as stocks, bonds, commodities, currencies, interest rates, and market index in order to realize rapid profits. To some extent, derivatives are hard to value because they do not trade openly on public exchanges and financial service firms disclose few details about them. That is why to successfully invest in derivatives, we must join a brokerage firm to provide professional counseling and broker the deal. The derivatives market is also considered as the largest single segment of the financial industry. However, despite its importance, few outsiders fully grasp its size, scope, or how it works. Derivatives are often highly leveraged, which is an ideal security for many speculators. They can make large gains of a small movement in price, but they also have great risk if the price moves sharply against them. Speculators add liquidity to the derivatives markets, and derivatives would likely be less useful without speculators. The advantages of derivatives to investors include a relatively small initial investment price as compared to buying company stock. And as an investor, we control a large percentage of the derivative, which means that when the value of the company increases, our investment is multiplied exponentially. Derivatives also have a relatively low transaction cost, allow investors to trade on future price expectations and over contracts that can be tailored to fit the needs of any user. How to safely invest in derivatives market? MNC Business Report for Economic Buzz Investment Talks.
And to have a deeper view about investment strategy in derivatives market, we have Stella Novita Lukman. She's the head of business development at Indonesia Commodity and Derivative Exchange, or ICDX. Stella, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. My apology for the slip of the tongue mentioning your job title. Again, she's the head of business development at Indonesia Commodity and Derivatives Exchange, or ICDX. Here comes ICDX helping us in terms of finding the best strategy. I'd rather basically using the word safe strategy. Who doesn't want to be secured and safe in terms of investing and trading their capital, their money? I would like to ask you first, general perspective on this derivatives market and world. So far, when we talk about Indonesia as part of the global market, how do you think global derivative market so far already or can contribute as a main pillar, let's say, of the international financial system and the economy as a whole? Do they really contribute something, derivatives market?
Well, in this case, I should actually explain from where it started. So the derivatives market doesn't just start like that. First, people, the old-fashioned people just buy and sell, buy and sell. And then suddenly they think, wow, there's a risk because of the fluctuation of demand and supply. It keeps on changing. So it affects on the fluctuation of prices. And they start to think, oh, I cannot do this. So then it comes a derivatives market in which, like you explained before, it is a contract that is derived from either it's a commodities or whatever it is, right? So if you're saying about derivatives, have you ever questions why, like in Indonesia, the price of, let's say, the dried noodle, it's stable. While if you're looking at the price of wheat, it's actually going up and down, right? So if you're asking about how they actually affect the global economy, it's as simple as how if the basis needed, like food, food industries and everything, prices keep on fluctuating, it will of course affect the economy of any country, because the countries or the companies that are producing it is not able to manage their risk. And once they cannot manage their risk, they will throw the risk to the end users.
I see. And it's pretty obvious that the presence or the existence of this derivatives market somehow already appear to be the main driver in terms of keeping this kind of trading and also the business activity keep moving on the global scale.
Yes.
I'm so interested in the word reallocating the risk. To some people, it might sound really creepy, reallocating the risk. Then, how can we, in terms of building this kind of shield, weathering that big, damaging, destructive risk within derivatives market, either when we are trading or investing in derivatives? If you don't mind, then we can continue for the later.
Sure, sure.
Make sure you are still with us on Economic Buzz. We are discussing about investment strategy in derivatives market with ICDX. On Business News First, Investment Coordinating Board emphasized on the 8 investment projects which are about to enter their construction stage, so it could support Indonesian economic performance. Head of the board stated about half of the total investment of about 8 projects have been realized.
Or BKPM assured that there are 8 investment projects in Indonesia which are entering construction stage and believed to be able to support national economic performance. Head of BKPM, Frankie Sibarani, explained from the total of 50.7 trillion rupiah of investment value from the 8 projects, 26.2 trillion rupiah has been realized.
Ini adalah fakta, ya. Fakta dari hasil kunjungan di lapangan dari 8 perusahaan tersebut, ya, ada total rencana investasi 50,7 triliun dan sudah terrealisasi 26,2 triliun rupiah, ya, artinya lebih dari atau hampir 50%.
According to Frankie Sibarani, whether the 8 projects could be finished 100%, there will be an increasing export value by $800 million per year. This would definitely help boosting national economy in the future. Moreover, with the investment being realized, it would provide employment in Indonesia, and some other positive impact will be occurred in line with the realization of the investment projects. Jakarta, Ricky Anwarti, MNC Business.
We would like to greet you business people in Singapore. You're on Economic Buzz, the English talk show program that outlook the economic issue for your business and investment plan. We are now still discussing about investment strategy in derivative market. We have Stella Novita Lukman, she is Head of Business Development at Indonesia Commodity and Derivative Exchange, or ICDX. Just go Googling for the real-time homepage of ICDX here in Indonesia. Stella, this is something always come to our interest. How come some people really hate to bear the risk? On the other hand, there are a lot abundant people who loves to manage and take the risk. This create a big question. How, with this kind of such a big risk reallocation, derivatives market on the global scale, it keep liquid? We still always can expect the great liquidity in the derivatives market expectation and activity. What is that? What's behind this?
As I explained to you earlier, right, it started with the spot market, physical market, let's say, and then people start saying, oh, I want to manage my risk. It creates a market. Derivatives, there is a forward, there's a futures, there's an options, right? When people say they just want to manage their risk, it means it's just, in the circle is only people who want to manage their risk, right? But then there comes another, what I could say, types of players in the derivatives market. They're seeing that, oh, let's say in Indonesia, we have crude palm oils. But in Malaysia, they also have crude palm oils, right? So what they do, they start thinking that it is possible to do arbitrage. So they are seeing the potential of gaining in two markets, right? When they see a difference in prices, they count it, make a formulations, they take profit from it. Then comes the third kind of players, the speculators. Now they are seeing, oh, the price is going up and down. The price is going up and down. Why not? Why am I not speculating? And then this is the kind. The speculators is the type that wants the risk, right? But the hedgers is the one who say, I don't want the risk. I don't want to risk against the price fluctuations. So these three kinds of players actually complete the market and make the market liquid. If you say all the derivatives market is liquid, I wouldn't say it. So there's of course, like let's say in Bursa Malaysia, there's a specific contract that is liquid. Even in maybe Singapore exchange, not every contract is liquid, except maybe in China, in which any contract they launch, it's liquid because of the nature of the people. But if you're saying the contract itself, it should fit the purpose of the players. So let's say for the hedgers, if the products itself, the contract itself didn't fit their businesses, they wouldn't do it.
Now relate this into Indonesia. What kind of nature of the people here, Indonesian people who are coming, doing the trading as well as investment in the derivatives market here in our country? How liquid? How do you see the liquidity level or the states of liquidity in Indonesian derivatives market?
Well, I will say we could be pretty shocked to see that actually most of the big company in Indonesia is doing hedging. And there's a lot of trading house, prop traders are doing those arbitrage and speculative positions. But again, I will say that it only reaches the one with the higher education level and everything. When you talk to commodities players that are not really familiar with this kind of things, they will say, nah, I'm going to do it conventional way. So if you're saying the potential of Indonesia, I will say it's one of the biggest potentials still. Because I'm seeing Indonesia is maybe like Singapore or Japan 20 years ago. So if you're looking at Indonesia 10 years from now, well, I think it could be one of the great potential of the derivatives.
ICDX itself, it's pretty confident about this because you can see the brightest picture about Indonesian derivatives market. In order to share more information and educate our market about this, what essential functions, when we talk about derivatives market, Indonesia could play? What kind of essential function?
One thing for sure, Indonesia is one of the countries that actually have lots of commodities as a main pillars for supply in all over the world. We have our tin, we have our crude palm oils, we have our nickels, we have our coal, we have a lot of commodities here. But if you're looking at it, we are still deriving the price from other countries right now.
CPO, Malaysia, that's really something unbelievable.
And if you're telling me right now, Indonesia could be one of the biggest effects in the whole derivative world when we do it right. Why? Because the commodities is here. We're the #1 exporter. We're the #1 producers. So why would it become a derivative? Because it is derived from an underlying assets. Now in Indonesia, all the underlying asset is here. So I didn't see any reason actually why Indonesia couldn't be on the latest.
It's really a great point to be
biggest.
discussed when you keep mentioning the word commodity. All of the commodities here, we have so many great potential. sources, but at the same time, media also exposing this kind of bad sentiment that the commodity boom is already gone. We cannot expect anymore the heyday of the commodity boom in Indonesia. Has this somehow changed or create a new phase of derivatives market in Indonesia, especially regarding the commodity sector?
If we're talking about the definition of commodities in Indonesia, it is not only agriculture, it's not only mining. Actually, the definitions of the commodities in Indonesia, it also include the foreign exchange, the interest rate, indices. So if you're talking commodities here, it's more global. And when media says the commodities is going down and blah and blah and blah, I think what they are saying is not on the financial sectors. It's more like the agriculture sectors, the mining sectors, and everything. You're talking about commodities in that sectors. Well, I always think that we still need to eat.
All right.
We still need our phone.
Okay.
You know.
I also would like to ask you for the latest segment about this. You said like when everything is doing right, we can create a great, huge effect even to the global derivatives market.
Yes.
Let's continue for this one. And more on the discussion about investment strategy in derivative market with ICDX will be brought to you soon. Stay with us on Economic Buzz. Watch also our live streaming through okezon.tv and sindonews.com. On other business and economic update news for you. Bank Indonesia sees the key factor in stabilizing inflation rate on Ramadan season will be in the goods distribution and their coordination with the government. The central bank couldn't predict the inflation rate on the period because they need to wait for the latest data to be analyzed.
Increasing price of basic necessity in Indonesia approaching Ramadan is considered to be the biggest threat for society amid the economic slowdown which it weakened the society's purchasing power. Even though government claimed that food supply has been secured, however, government is not yet successfully controlling the price in the market. The newly deputy governor of Bank Indonesia, Edwin Rianto, stated that government should be doing tight supervision on goods distribution to reduce the space for speculation to occur. According to Edwin Rianto, goods distribution is the key to maintain the price of basic necessity and suppress inflation rate during Ramadan, where food price is usually increasing due to the increasing demand from the society.
Yang paling penting adalah sebenarnya distribusinya kan, makanya ini ada dengan pemerintah kita kerjasama juga antara kalau untuk informasinya kita melalui DPID itu ya dengan semua kantor-kantor regional kita itu kita selalu berkoordinasi ya. Kemudian dengan pemerintah juga nanti dalam kaitannya dengan distribusinya ini kita akan bekerjasama sehingga.
During Ramadan last year, which was July 2014, inflation rate was reported to be at the level of 0.93% and was considered to be quite stable. However, this year, Bank Indonesia is doubting whether inflation during Ramadan and Idul Fitri would be as stable as in the previous year. This is because of government's import permit given for food such as rice and beef. Jakarta, Harjo Patmo for MNC Business.
The Indonesian Central Bank projected domestic consumption in the second quarter of 2015 to remain stagnant or even lower. However, the analysis conducted stated the decline in consumption was due to Bank Indonesia's scheme to tighten money circulation as Bank Indonesia has to stabilize the inflation rate.
Domestic consumption is predicted to remain stagnant or to have a tendency to decrease in the second quarter in this year. Indonesian Central Bank explained the declining domestic consumption would happen considering the growth in the first quarter. Executive Director of Economic and Monetary Policy at Bank Indonesia, Yuda Agung, explained the global economic slowdown that kept happening until the beginning of 2015 also stressed the domestic economy. Previously, the Indonesian economy in the first quarter of 2015 only grew by 4.71%, dimming low compared to the same period in 2014, where the economy grew by 5.14%. Meanwhile, the household consumption only grew by 5.01%.
Konsumsi more or less masih flat lah kalau perkiraan kita di triwulan 2 ini masih more or less sama karena triwulan 1 kan ini dipengaruhi oleh tahun lalu yang ada pemilu segala kan. Ya kan, tahun lalu. Sekarang triwulan 1 kemarin nggak ada pemilu, dia drop sekali. Tapi di triwulan 2 kan tahun lalu dampak pemilunya nggak terlalu besar. Sehingga kami perkirakan secara umum private consumption masih relatif flat, masih sekitar 5.
Last year, Indonesia Central Statistic Agency noted the household consumption grew by 5.59% in the second quarter of 2014. It is predicted the consumption growth would be under pressure after the economic downturn. According to the analysis, the decline in consumption happened due to Bank Indonesia's scheme to tighten money circulation by increasing the BI rate aggressively from 2014. It was done to stabilize the inflation rate to be below 5%. Jakarta, Rahajo Patmo, MNC Business.
Back on Economic Buzz, don't forget to watch our live streaming through okzone.tv and sindonews.com. We can be viewed also in Singapore through Starhub Asia Channel and International. Stella, our derivatives market basically can create such a huge effect to the global derivative market, but only when things are done right. So what is not being done right when we talk about derivatives market as well as its potential here in Indonesia?
Right now, I think it's going to the right path. I could give you an example for our tin market. First is the government support. We are superbly thankful for right now the government support us in a right way. Like example for the tin, I could say that right now, if you see at the LME prices, you could see that their fluctuation rate is dropping really drastically. 3-5 years from now, when it's not regulated, it could goes up to 23%. But right now, the fluctuation rate is maybe 12%. So what I could say, that's where the effect is, right? Because when it's here, it's regulated, supported by the government, and of course, supported by our own people, then it will be successful.
From what Bapepti do, at least they already show this kind of great initiative to start first in terms of giving you proportional attention on the derivative market.
Of course, it's the Minister of Trade, the KOFTRA or the Bapepti support us, and then it's one of the huge factors that I would say determine the success of the derivatives market in Indonesia. Because if you say ironically, even if you say all those big companies, do they understand hedging? Yes. Do they understand arbitrage? Yes. Where they did it? Not in Indonesia. Why? That's why I say we need the support of all the players, including our own people.
So we have to make people believe first that we can do it right, especially a company like ICDX can do it right. We should keep the discussion about ICDX later on. In the meantime, risk factor in the derivatives market that we have to be really fair in terms of understanding there must be a risk in the derivatives market. Thanks to my executive producer who gave me a big reminder about the case of Enron. It's very prominent case can be used when we talk about the company misuse the derivatives market. Let's discuss about that, how to weather this kind of risk factor and minimize it after this one. Make sure you are with us on Economic Buzz with ICDX. We are going to discuss more about investment strategy in derivative market. Business news from automotive sector. Ramadan season and Idul Fitri period is expected to help automotive sales in Indonesia increase. The demand on vehicles is usually high, in line with people going home. Moreover, the stimulus formulated by the government, such as down payment loosening, is predicted to boost the sales.
Automotive Manufacturers Association or GAIKINDO reported that up until May 2015, national automotive sales is still not performing optimally. Based on the data, the automotive sales was declining by 16% compared to 2014. However, Gaikindo expects for the sales to be increasing in Ramadan and Idul Fitri seasons, as during that time the demand towards vehicles are usually high, in line with people going for homecoming. Moreover, with the revision of loan-to-value by government where down payment for vehicles purchase will be decreased, it is predicted that it will be able to boost the automotive sales.
Sampai hari ini kami masih berpatokan bahwa angka penjualan sampai dengan akhir tahun bisa diraih 1 juta sampai 1,1 juta. Sebetulnya memang biasanya ada kenaikan, tetapi tidak banyak. Ya kita harapkan kalau bisa sampai 5% saja sudah baik. Itu kita sangat mengharapkan tentunya.
Moreover, recent rupiah depreciation is also reported to be influencing automotive sales in Indonesia. In order to anticipate the impact from the depreciation, business players are recalculating the production costs. Jakarta, Olena Wibisana, MNC Business.
Moving to another business information. After starting the operation of Cikopo-Palimanan Highway, the longest highway in Indonesia, people use the highway for free. Based on the data from the Public Works and Public Housing Ministry, the average number of vehicles passing the highway reached about 35,000 per day.
Cikopo-Palimanan Highway, which is also well known as Cipali Highway, is claimed to have minimized vehicles volume in North Coast Road or Pantura. Minister of Public Works and Public Housing, Basuki Hadi Mulyono, explained that based on the report submitted in the ministry, after 5 days of its operation, Cipali Highway has served 35,000 of vehicles every day. According to the minister, with this report, it will give space for the ministry in repairing damaged road in Pantura, which has been complained of by people.
Pemeliharaan di Pantura akan dapat kita lakukan secara lebih baik karena kami tidak dikejar-kejar. Sekarang ini kalau mendesak itu kan semua sudah antri 10 km. Sekarang mungkin lebih longgar bisa kita lakukan perbaikannya yang lebih baik.
On the other hand, public policy analyst Agus Pambagio considered the operation of Cipali Highway wouldn't be enough to reduce traffic jam occur in Pantura during homecoming season. This is because of its prediction where people would tend to use private vehicles as the highway ticket tariff is considered to be too expensive.
Ya, dan itu kan juga belum sampai ke kota-kota besar kecuali Cirebon, di mana kota-kota banyak. Tegal lah paling, Tegal, dan nanti keluar itu masih tetap macet. Nah dilihat aja dulu, ini belum dioperasikan, maksudnya belum dijalankan untuk operasi lebaran. Kita lihat lebaran gitu. Kalau tidak macet, mengurangi sedikit lah.
As it has been reported before, it is said that Cipali Highway tariff will be 96,000 rupiah for vehicles included in the Group 1 such as sedan and minibus. Meanwhile, for vehicles included in Group 5 such as container, the tariff is reaching 288,500 rupiah. According to Agus Pambagio, Cipali Highway would only be taking 10 to 20% of vehicles volume from Pantura, which is not a big volume to reduce traffic jam in Pantura. Jakarta, Ayos Carlos, Ricky Anwardi, MNC Business.
You are with us on Economic Buzz with ICDX. We still bring our discussion about investment strategy in derivative market. Watch our live streaming through okzone.tv and cd.com. Stella Novita Lukman. Enron will be the best case study when we talk about avoiding this kind of pitfall in terms of misuse the potential role or potential function of derivatives market. What are there when we talk about the risk factor in the derivatives market that some people already labeling derivatives market as something unsecured?
I would say in this market there's two kinds of. First, the internal risk. The second one is the external risk. What I will say the internal risk is that the characteristic of the derivatives market itself is actually one of the instruments with the most flexible risk appetite. So you could have a risk of 10 times, the leverage of 1 by 10, the leverage of 1 by 1. It's super flexible. That is why when you misuse it, the risk is higher. So I will give an example like this. If you are a hedger, means when you produce 100 tons, you're going to hedge it 100 tons. That's when we say your hedging ratio is 1 by 1. But that kind of hedging ratio will be determined by your analyze of the price. Let's say if the price is going up and I want to sell it, I probably will hedge lower because I know when it goes to the spot, the price is going to go up. So if I hedge one by one, I will minimize the profit, but I am maximizing, not maximizing, it's actually increasing my risk, right? So if you miss the calculation of this one and your analysis is wrong, of course, your internal risk will be higher.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but many of Indonesian people here, we are not there yet in terms of being well equipped with a great analysis. Well, you should be there to help us. If you don't mind, hold this for the later session. Thank you so much for standing by. Economic Buzz will be back soon with more view from Stella Novita Lukman. She's Head of Business Development at Indonesia Commodity and Derivatives Exchange ICD. Based on the data from the Central Statistics Agency, export transactions to all countries declined on May 2015. Therefore, the government is expected to encourage business players in Indonesia in order to enhance their performance in exporting local products, especially the potential commodities.
According to the data from Indonesian Central Statistics Agency, export transactions to all countries, including the United States, China, Japan, European Union countries, and ASEAN countries, declined by May 2015. The export in May 2015 reached $12.56 billion, or down by 4.11% compared to April 2015. Even compared to May 2014, the export was down by 15.24%. Deputy of Distribution and Service Statistics Department at Central Statistics Agency, Sasmito Hadiwibowo, stated that the government has to encourage business players so export performance could be improved, particularly commodity export, which has potential to be improved.
Ya, dari sisi surplus, istilahnya kalau kita belanjanya sedikit, pemasukannya ya nggak terlalu banyak, kita lumayan punya tabungan. Artinya untuk kepentingan belanja kita, baik untuk produk-produk dalam negeri maupun luar negeri kita aman. Cuman untuk pengembangan, jadi ya, ekspor yang ini perlu kita dorong lagi gitu ya. Jadi untuk ekspor kita harus sekali lagi tidak mungkin sudah harus tidak terlalu tergantung pada produk tradisional, tetap kita jaga, kita dorong, tapi produk-produk alternatif harus dicari. Karena kan
Sasmito Hadiwibowo added that out of prospective commodities that were done on May 2015, some commodities still managed to have demand increase even though national export declined. Those are including weapon ammunition rose by 11,000%, grey ash metal rose by 410.84%. Watch and the parts rose by 172%. Textile fiber rose by 122%, and organic chemical substance rose by 111%. Meanwhile, the market share for non-oil and gas export from January to May 2015 have been supported by the United States by $6.44 billion, Japan by $5.62 billion, China by $5.41 billion, ASEAN countries by $11.33 billion, and EU countries by $6.28 billion. Jakarta, Ayos Carlos for MNC Business.
On corporate news, PT Aneka Tambang, through its business unit of precious metal, claimed the trend of gold sales still has intriguing prospect for the society. One of investment instruments. The company even noted the gold product with the size of 10 to 100 grams is having the biggest vibe in the society. We have the corporate news for you.
PT Aneka Tambang or Antam, through its business unit reported that the company's gold product of 10 to 100 grams is still prospective as investment instrument. The company even stated that approaching Ramadan and Idul Fitri, gold sales would usually be increasing by 2 times of its usual sales. General Manager of Antam's Business Unit for Precious Metals, Dodi Martimbang, explained, from the total gold production capacity of 80 tons, 40% of it was purchased by society for investment purpose.
Kalau produksinya biasanya kita menyesuaikan dengan kebutuhan masyarakat. Memang yang paling laku diserap oleh masyarakat itu yang 10 gram, 25 sama yang 100 gram. Itu yang berapa tuh produksinya dari yang 100 gram itu hampir 40% itu.
Furthermore, Dodi added that optimized gold sales in Indonesia, Antam is currently focusing to penetrate global market by doing intense exportation to some countries in Indonesia and Europe. With the penetration, it is expected that it could boost the company's performance in the future. Meanwhile, according to the company's financial report, gold production capacity this year is reaching 70 to 80 tons per troy ounce. Jakarta, Gilang Praditya, MNC Business.
Back again with Stella Novita Lukman, she's the Head of Business Development at Indonesia Commodity and Derivative Exchange, or ICDX. Time flies by, really. Now, in short, for our conversation earlier, it was more into the internal factor, external factor. Now, let's continue when we talk about the other factor that impact this kind of worries of the uncertainty and the risk factor.
Talking internal factors is about how you manage your own risk, whether you're a hedger, arbitrager, or a speculator. For the external risk, I will say more to where did you trade? Okay, because to be able to trade in the exchange, either you should be a member of the exchange and the clearinghouse, or you can trade through a brokers. Well, these factors, the risk factor that I'm saying is how you choose your brokers, because it's actually right now there's a lot of illegal brokers flying by in Indonesia, and we are very, very keen to do the law enforcement in Indonesia, because maybe there's a lot of people saying right now, well, you know, why should I make it legal if illegal is fine?
Yeah.
But
that's awful.
Yeah, so it's not a threat, but we have a law against it. So if you are actually a party promoting any derivatives market in Indonesia without any certifications from the COFTRA, the regulators, and being the member, of course, the member of the exchange, then it is actually you can be charged of a 5 to 10 years prison and a maximum penalty of minimum 10 to 20 billion rupiah. So I would just say, you know, watch out for those illegal brokers out there. You know, we will catch you anytime soon.
I see. This is the strongest point we have during the talk show.
Yes.
But you are right, because basically from the legal umbrella aspect, we have the rule and the regulation. Now the big question, the major question remaining is always how to enforce this law, as well as creating the deterrent effect, so we can prevent those bad guys, the illegal broker, to keep growing and coming. Where ICDX actually could help our government in terms of enforcing this law and creating the deterrent effect. Save it for the last then, save it for the last session. Stella. Make sure you are still with us. We still have one more segment with ICDX discussing about investment strategy in derivative market. Back again on Economic Buzz with ICDX in Indonesia. Stella, how ICDX then can help at least the government in terms of really enforcing this kind of law. Legally speaking, we already have this kind of umbrella in terms of protecting our people for this kind of fraud scheme.
So I will recap it to 3 parts. The first one will be educating the people. You know, first, they have to know the industries, and they have to know the role and the regulations for the brokers. If you are in doubt, you can just, you know, go to the exchange, ask, who is the licensed broker? Is this one a licensed one? Is this one is not? Because when you trade through an illegal broker, you are not protected by any law. You cannot come to us and say, you know,
I will sue you,
or whatever it is. Help me because my money is gone. We cannot help you because it is an illegal broker. So first is know your industry and your brokers. Know the products you want to trade in and know your broker. The second one is where your monies go. It's also stated in the decision, the Bapepti decisions, the head of Bapepti decisions, that the account, the bank account is also regulated. So it's not like any banks. So right now, there's 4 banks that are listed as the custodian banks. It's a BCA, Sinarmas, Standard Chartered, and CIMB Niaga.
Rephrase that in a quick way. BCA,
Sinarmas, Standard, and CIMB.
Okay.
So if any of your brokers asking you to transfer your money not to this 4 segregated custodian bank and not under their real names, means it is illegal. That's the second one. And
where your money go.
Where your money go. And then the third one will be a smarter investors. There is no free lunch, as we talked earlier, right? So if someone promising you a high profit with no risk, well, I would say it's 100% fraud.
No such thing called instant, moreover in the derivatives market.
Exactly. So as long as you are smart investors, you know what to trade, you know who is a safe broker, a licensed broker and everything, and I think you are safe. And then also another point will be we will need the help of media. Of course, a big help from the media to educate the people that, hey, this broker is not legal. This is the regulations. You should go here, you should go there. Because once you make it in a wrong place, you know, you'll
end up in a mess.
End up in a mess. And then when you say about how ICDX will do it and everything, you know, we've already in search of a lot of, you know, sometimes TV shows, sometimes advertisement in newspapers, in lots of media, and also, you know, that backdrops and everything, billboard. And also the online things, you know, they have this website A, website B, website C. We are in what I say, we are watching it.
Yeah.
So
you keep an eye on them.
Yes, we keep an eye on them, and we have the law. As I mentioned earlier, 5 to 10 years jails, plus a 10 to 20 billion penalty.
And that's the exact law. So really don't mess up with this. It means a big serious thing, because we talk about people's money, the capital they are really collect and submit rupiah per rupiah. We have to be really careful on this.
Yes, and other things is actually when these people start entering the market, and then there's a lot of fraud coming into Indonesia. You know, something goes wrong, this goes wrong, everything goes wrong. This will actually damage or destroy the industry as a whole.
Agreed.
And our goal to be the one of the biggest effect in global derivatives market will never be achieved.
Yeah. All right. 3 very strong, powerful statements. Knowing the industry and your broker, and understanding where your money go. You have to do like really deep scrutiny test on this. Do the investigation by yourself. And then last and very most important part is be a smart investor. Let's wrap up our talk show for this time with ICDX. Hope to have you soon on the bus with us to bring up Indonesia. I'm Erwin Suryabrata, wishing you best luck in doing your business today. Talk about your business in e-bus, MNC business. You're the first. This is channel.